What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today's video, we're back working on my off-road drag bike. So it's been a little bit since I actually filmed or even worked on this thing. I think it's been almost 2 months now since I last filmed anything on this thing. And last we did, we ended up building these custom extended forks for it. And as you can tell, they did not last too long. So I think they lasted about a week to 2 weeks, no problems, without any issues, until one night I had a couple buddies over. We were all riding it around, trying to do some wheelies on it, and eventually just ended up bending the tubes that I added on there to actually extend the forks themselves, which I kind of knew was gonna happen just because I knew the pipe I used wasn't really the thickest gauge. So it was kind of just gonna happen eventually if it was doing wheelies or if it was off-roading, hit a big rock or something and just bends it instantly. But other than that, it kind of is what it is. Luckily, I did keep the old forks that I pulled off of it, so we can get those slapped back on there and actually have this thing a running and driving machine again, instead of having some bent forks that are probably gonna end up bending more and probably end up laying the frame onto the ground. So we gotta end up fixing that, at least slap those old forks back onto there, so then it'll at least be a run and drive machine. It's still gonna be low like it used to be, but it should be all right. This thing's more of a street monster if anything. And then in the meantime of it just sitting here in the corner for the last 2 months, you can see the puddle underneath it. It ended up just puking all of its oil out for some reason. I have no idea really where it's coming from. Where I can see the oil coming from seems to be the side cover gasket right here. So I'm actually pretty surprised about that, because that gasket's been on this, that's probably the factory gasket for this motor, and I've had this motor for almost 10 years now. I ended up pulling it apart probably 2 or 3 years ago, did the governor removal, and put the cover back on with the same gasket, and it lasted this long until recently it just ended up just puking its brains out. So we're gonna end up having to tear it down, get the torque converter off, get the side cover pulled off, and then we can at least replace the gasket. Luckily, I have a little gasket kit on my shelf over there, so we should be able just to swap that if it's just a side cover gasket. I'm really hoping it's not like the internal seal around the shaft, but we'll see. I doubt it, because if so, it wouldn't have drained all of its oil. So first thing I want to start off with is getting these old bent forks pulled off of there, getting the old ones put back on there, just so this thing's actually a nice little roller instead of having all that looking weird and all that. So, and then we can actually tip this thing on its side, pull the torque converter off, get the side cover pulled off of there, and then we can inspect it, see what's actually leaking, replace it, fix it, and then fill this thing up with some oil, and then hopefully take it for a ride by the end of today's video. So let's get to work. I'm gonna get it pulled out and put it in the middle of the garage, since I got both the cars out of here and just a little mini ATV. If you haven't seen the videos on that, I suggest you go check that out, because I think it's been a blast, and it's just about ready for paint. I just gotta start tearing it down and start painting everything, make it all pretty and all that. But other than that, we'll work on it later this week. But I really want to get all the machines running and driving, because this thing's been mint. This thing's been a pile of shit. So far, this thing's been good until we tear it down and paint it. So that's gonna be down for a couple weeks. So I at least want to have the 2 other toys running. This red bike is my buddy's bike, so we ain't gotta worry about that until he's ready to work on it. I know he watches this video, so come fix this thing. But let's get to work on the bike and let's see if we can get it done tonight. Now that we got the bars off the bike, you can really see how taco these things are. So that's awesome. So luckily, I probably could cut these apart where I welded it all together and probably rebuild them if I wanted to. But if anything, I'd probably just cut those apart or pick up some brand new ones just to make it a little bit easier at the end of the day. Have some fresh bars to start with that I know are 100% straight and all that. But everything pretty much blew apart pretty easily. Not too much really to the front forks other than the handlebars, but you can just leave those attached because you don't really need to take them all apart. So it's gonna be pretty quick just to slap it all together. So I don't know, you guys probably don't want to watch it, so I'm just gonna do some YouTube magic real quick. And just like that, she is all back together. This thing looks so weird having short forks on the front, but I actually do kind of miss it because it looks pretty sweet. I really shortened it all up and makes it look like really like a low kind of drag bike for the off-road, especially with these big old tires on there. So I think I'm definitely might keep it like this for a while, at least for right now, until I figure out maybe some stronger pipes that at least extend some forks in the future. But now we can work on the fun part, getting a little bit oily and dirty. Ripping the torque converter off of here and pulling the side cover off. See what we're looking at, see what's actually leaking out of here. Get it sealed up and then slap some oil in this thing and hopefully take it for a little test drive. But it definitely dumped out a ton of oil. I even wiped it up with a rag before. And this thing's just still dripping. I got oil all over the wood already underneath it. And the whole skid plate's pretty much all oily, so I'll have to wash it all off. So it's gonna be a fun time, but let's get to work on this. I'll probably just end up tearing off the torque converter and I'll catch up with you guys once I start getting the side cover all pulled off. So I just got the torque converter all pulled off of there and just kind of put off to the side for right now. And just kind of looking around, I can't really tell where it's leaking oil. I can see it's kind of wet for the first like inch on the kind of side cover here. But I did remember I did an oil change on this thing right before I did the stretched bars and all that. So it was thinking maybe it could be leaking out the drain plug, but I felt that's nice and tight, and the crush washer looks nice and clean. So I'm gonna more shooting towards the side cover here. So I think I'm gonna start pulling this off. I already got my gun here and got the gasket there. So I'm just gonna set you guys up. I'm curious if we can see anything, but I'll just get this thing just blasted off real quick. I don't know how much oil is still in it, but I guess we'll find out. All nice and tight still, so that's a good sign. Could just be the paper gasket finally giving out after this long. Oh shit, it started dumping oil. Good one, Bill, good one. I really don't want to make a mess on the floor. And this thing's as far as it can go tipped-wise, so let's see, maybe we can tip it a little bit more. Oh man, hopefully it's not leaking gas now. Oh, you guys are watching a nice dilemma right now. Try to save this thing from pissing oil all over the ground. Oh fuck, that's dripping a lot. I guess I'm just gonna let it drain. Gotta put new oil in it anyways. Let's see if we can kind of prop this thing up a little bit. That'll work. Oh, this thing's just pouring oil out. What a mess. Side cover is still on there pretty good though. She's just pouring out oil. Oh my god. How much oil was in this thing? I didn't overfill it. I only put like a half quart in it. Alright, well, let's get this all cleaned up. We'll get the side cover off, get the gasket replaced. And I'll get back with you guys after this whole dilemma. I just wanted to show you guys this real quick before I seal everything all up. So I ended up pulling off the old gasket. This thing was just so brittle, it was pretty much falling apart, and the whole bottom there was like pretty much peeling off of itself. So got the new gasket all slapped up on there, and I probably should have checked the oil before I pulled it apart because this thing is still full. So I'm curious, maybe I just overfilled it. I don't think so. Last time I remember I only put like a half quart in this thing, and I looked it up, they take a half quart. So I'm not really too sure, but kind of nice part is I don't have to put a bunch of new oil in this thing just because I already know this oil is pretty much brand new. I think it only has like maybe an hour or two on it. So if anything, we'll just get this thing sealed up, get her topped up with some oil, and then we can finally take it for a rip. So I just got the torque converter all back installed. I think I'm gonna leave the cover off right now just because it makes it a little bit easier to see under there where the side cover is, maybe see if it's leaking still. I really hope not. I'm crossing my fingers. I just checked the oil in it. It seems just a tad bit low than it normally would, so I think I maybe just overfilled it a little too much and just couldn't really handle it. So she should be good to go now, hopefully. So I'm probably just gonna start it up, let it run outside a little bit just to let it warm up a bit, and then probably wash it all off, get all the excess oil off, and see if it's still leaking, if we see any more oil coming out of it, but hopefully not. And then take it for a good test drive around the block, make sure everything's all good, everything feels good, especially with the front since we just replaced the whole front on it. But I'm thinking it should be more than solid. So let's get this thing knocked out and finally take it for a rip instead of me saying it a million times. Well, I'm super annoyed right now. I just rode this thing around for a few minutes and it only took a split-second clip. So I guess we can take her out for a little bit. We don't have much gas in it, so I'll keep it a little bit close, but we got her all washed up, all the oil residue off of it, so everything's good to go. It's been running for a little bit, so everything seems to be fine. I still need to put the cover on for the torque converter, but we can do that later. It's just a couple bolts. But I guess we can take this thing out one more time. Jesus. Holy shit, I'm about to crash into the garage there. God, those pops are crazy. I miss how torquey this thing is. I need to definitely get a torque converter on the ATV or the new mini bike. But like the takeoff, hold on. Let's do it from the stop. Alright, we'll load it up a little bit. God, that instant. This bike's such a good cruiser. It's just so solid. Definitely don't like it being low again without the extended forks, but it kind of is what it is. So responsive. Shabby. Oh, she seems good to go. I guess we can park her up with the other bikes until we're ready to take it out again. Pretty happy it wasn't too bad. Definitely left a good oil spot right there and right there now, but it's whatever. Still a good bike and it looks pretty good too, so I can't complain. Oh, my hair looks a little crazy from riding this thing around, but pretty happy with the mini bike so far. It wasn't too bad, just replacing the side cover gasket. That thing looked pretty beat to begin with, so I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. And it was just pretty simple, just pulling it all apart. Crazy thing is it really didn't leak that much oil, but it made a huge mess on the ground somehow, but it's whatever. We ain't gonna worry about it. But other than that, I think we just need to really probably just slap a cover on this thing and this thing is good to go. I might look into extending the forks again in the future and find some stronger pipe, but that'll be later on. I think for now I'm just gonna leave it as it is because it's just a good street cruiser right now and kind of like semi off-road. As long as you're not going too crazy, it's a good off-road bike from the beginning, but it's got all the torque, it's got all the high end. I think the thing topped out at like 45 last time I did a top speed run on it, but pretty happy with it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's just a simple one, really just mess around with the off-road mini bike, fixing it all up, everything I kind of broke over the last couple of weeks. So it's nothing too crazy going on, but something to get out for you guys on Monday video. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hope you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content, and peace out.